Hello and welcome. In this lesson, we are going to look at another collection type called tuples. Tuple is just like list, except that we declare a tuple using a parenthesis like this. And in a pair of parentheses, we write the values that we want the tuple to hold as comma separated list. Now let me get another tuple, my name's 2, and I will declare this using the tuple constructor just like the list. And the tuple constructor is written tuple and a pair of parentheses, and then you put the items in another pair of parentheses. So it is like this, tuple and 2 parentheses like this. So these are 2 ways to declare tuples in Python. You need to always bear in mind the characteristics of collection types for you to know which is the right one for you to use. Like list, we say that tuple is ordered. It allows duplicate values, but where it differs from list is that it is unchangeable or immutable. So once you declare a tuple, you cannot change, update, or delete its values. The only workaround you can do is convert it to a list, do whatever operation you want to do with the list method, and convert it back to a tuple. But as a tuple, the values cannot be changed. So we can add or remove items once we have created a tuple. Now let's look at what we can do with a tuple. If we have a tuple with 1 item, let's say I want to have my name's 3, we must end it with a comma. So let's say we have just 1 item here, Jesus, and it must end with a comma. If not, Python is not going to recognize that as a tuple. If we want to concatenate 2 tuples together, let's say we want to return all of the items in the 3 tuples or 2 tuples, we will use the plus operator. So let's say I want to print, let's say print my name's 3 plus my name's 2 plus my names. And then when I save this, I will clear here and I run, I will have all of the items in all the tuples combined together. So just like this, we can refer to an item in a tuple by the index position. Let's say we want to print item in my name's 2, and I want to print item and index position 2. So that will be 0, 1, 2. That will be Joseph. So I'll put a square bracket, and I want to print that at index position 2. And when I run that, I should have Joseph printed. I can also do the slicing thing where I can print a range. Let's say I want to print Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, which starts at 0, 1, 2. So I'm going to start at position 0, and I'm going to end at position 3 because the last index is not inclusive. I want to print 0, 1, and 2, which means I'll go 1 higher so I can print out exactly what I want. And when I run, I'm going to have Jesus, Mary, and Joseph printed. We can actually print Jesus, Mary, and Joseph using negative slicing. -1, -2, -3. This is -4. So we want to end at -4. So we're going to start at -3. We're going to end at -3 because we want to print -4 out, -5, -6. So we want to start. So we say we are printing -6, -3, and let's run this. And we have Jesus, Mary, and Joseph printed. So negative slicing can be confusing, but you want to always remember that the last index is -1 and you count forward. We always know that the last is exclusive. When we leave out the first and we just put a colon and the last, it prints out from the beginning to the specified. If we leave out, so let's do this and you see that it will still print out what we want. So we'll get it from the beginning to the specified, and if we leave out the last, let's say we do -6, or let's say we're starting from -3 to nothing, it's going to print out from Martha, Jane, and Jesus to the end. So we'd say -3, so -1, -2, -3. So we have from Martha to Jesus. So these are the operations we can perform with tuple. Any other thing we want to do with tuple, it is not changeable. We can only delete the entire tuple using del. And we can do that to say my name's 2, and this will delete the entire tuple. If we want to have a workaround to how to do this, we can say let's add items to this tuple. We'll convert it to a list first, and we want to say my name list is equal to list my names. And so this will convert it there, and then we can now add items to say my name list.append. We can now append an item to the end of it, and then once we are done, we want to say my names is equal to tuple my name list. Okay, and then we get it back and we print. So once we do this now, we're going to see that we added an item to the tuple by converting to a list, appending an item to the end, converting back to a tuple, and printing it out. So these are the workarounds we can use. So you can do this to conversion to list, to what you want to do, and change it back. We have this packing and unpacking of tuple. When we assign values to tuples like this, we are packing the tuples. But when we now want to assign each of these values to a variable, we are unpacking the tuple. Let's try to do that. So let's say we want to assign each of these items. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 items. So let's say we want to have person 1. So I'll put this in a parenthesis, and I want to have person 1 as a variable. I want to have up to person 6, and I want to assign all the values of the tuple, my names, to person 1 to 6. And if I print out person 1, Jesus will be assigned. Print out person 2, Mary, person 3, Joseph, and let's try it and we'll see. So I'll save this, clear and run. So we have each of those variables now hold each of the items in the tuple. So we'll have Jesus, Mary, Joseph, Martha, Jane, Jesus. If, for instance, I have 3 items here, so I can either do this, have 3 variables. The tuple has 6 items. 3 is not enough. We want this to be able to unpack into these 3. For one of the variables, you have to put an asterisk in front of it, which means that pack into person 1, into person 3, and all of the remaining you unpack as a list into person 2. And so if we print out each of these, person 1, person 2, and person 3, we're going to see what we have. Clear. We'll see that person 2 is going to be a list. So person 1 is going to have Jesus, person 3 is going to have Jesus, and person 2 is going to have the rest as a list, like that. So to take the last one assigned to this, take the first one assigned to this, and then assign all of the rest to the one with an asterisk as a list. If we want to say we want to duplicate the items in a tuple by a specified number of times, we just use the multiplication sign. Let's say we want to have duplicate names. We'll say duplicate is equal to, I will say my names times, let's say 2. So every occurrence of each item will be twice. So Jesus here will be 2 times, and Jesus here will be 2 times. So we'll have 4 occurrences of Jesus. And if all is well and I run, I should have them duplicated as many times as I have asked it to duplicate the items. We have methods that we can use to return the number of times a value appears. So let's say I want to see how many times Jesus appears in these duplicate names. So I will use something like print count. So we use the count function, and I'm going to put duplicate names. So I'm going to say duplicate names, and I'll use the count method .count, and I want to count the number of times Jesus appeared. Clear here. I print this. So let me put the print statement here, and I run. I will have this 4 times printed. We want to see the index of the first occurrence of an item. We can say print index of Jesus in this first one, and the first index of Jesus is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The first occurrence is at index number 5 printed out there. So this is all about tuple. Make sure you look at the properties of each of these collection types before you decide which is best for what you want to do. In the next lesson, we're going to look at sets in Python.